Welcome back to another inspiring episode of the Growthinity live stream interview series, where purpose meets leadership and transformation begins with meaningful conversations. I'm Vanessa Arbas, and I'm honored to welcome our global community joining us from the Philippines, the UAE, South Africa, India, the UK, New Zealand, and beyond. Whether you're watching live or on replay, thank you for being here. This is episode 8, and today's topic is something that deeply affects our relationships, our leadership, and the quality of our lives. The power of presence, how smarter conversations can create a better life. In a fast paced world full of distractions, we often miss the opportunity to truly connect. Whether it's in the boardroom, the living room, or a coaching session, our presence or lack of it can either build bridges or create distance. Today's conversation will help us unlock how intentional, emotionally intelligent, and purpose driven communication can transform the way we lead, live, and love. So, before we dive in, go ahead and drop in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to send your questions in real time. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We are honored to have Miss Geraldine Solon as our resource speaker for this episode. Miss Geraldine is an international best-selling, award-winning author of 15 books, with works reaching Amazon's overall top 20 and translations in 7 languages. Her writing has been featured in Glamour UK, the San Francisco Examiner, the House of Cocoa, and she has appeared on NBC King 5 and other TV programs. As a sought-after speaker and transformational communicator, Geraldine teaches effective communication, storytelling, and writing mastery through conferences, corporate trainings, and workshops. Drawing on her diverse writing experiences, she helps individuals and organizations enhance their communication skills. Geraldine spent 10 years at Stanford University, served in leadership roles for the Fremont Area Writers Club, and promotes literacy by founding many libraries in the Philippines. Good afternoon, Geraldine.
Good afternoon, Vanessa. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling this afternoon?
Oh, I'm so geared up for this interview with you. I'm really looking forward to your questions and the audience as well. Thank you.
So, how excited are you to share your expertise to our global community? What have you done, or what are the preparations you've made just to give your best for this afternoon's episode?
Well, the topic, the power of presence, is really something that I'm working on based on this book, Talk Smarter, Live Better. Actually, it all started with this book, but it eventually gave birth to a program. So that program, Talk Smarter, Live Better, is really about transformational communication and how we can apply it in our daily life, because communication is very important. In fact, it's one of the 3 biggest problems in today's world when it comes to the workforce and dealing with your family and dealing in everyday life. So I really spearheaded this program to be able to help other people apply it in their life as well.
That's beautiful. Now, what does presence really mean in the context of leadership and everyday life? Because the title for today's episode is The Power of Presence.
So
How
the
do you
power
define
of
it?
presence is really about being attentive, being present 100%, giving your undivided attention, because we are so distracted. We are multitasking, we're on our phones, we're on our computer, or we live busy lives. And sometimes when we communicate with people, we don't give them the whole undivided attention. And that's really important, because how do you show the other person that you're really interested, that you're really there? It's about the here and now and being intentional and attentive.
That's wonderful. So why do you think we struggle to be fully present in conversations today? What are the common factors that really distract us from the now and the here?
Well, first of all, technology, I mean, it's there to improve everything, but it also serves as a distraction. Social media, we're communicating more on our phones. We're more like glued to our cell phones, to our computer. And instead of being intentional and being able to have that whole experience of a conversation, it gets distracted by the ringtone, by a text, everything. So I think it's what really matters is that you really give it all, especially when you're dealing with people at work, your boss, your child, your at home, everything. You have to give them the full attention because otherwise things can get lost in translation. You may say something they won't understand, or it can get misinterpreted, and then later on there could be a misunderstanding because you didn't give it your full attention. Even when you're emailing somebody, when somebody sends you a message, or we all have different communication methods. So there's like, if somebody sends you a message and it's not clear, then you have to ask. Or sometimes some people don't read the whole message because the message is too long. So there's a lot of issues that contribute to what's happening now with the breakdown of communication.
I like what you said earlier, instead of just being physically present, we have to give our full attention because more often than not, when we receive a text from someone, we are so impulsive or aggressive to reply, and then we miss the really the very heart of the message, and it does
Yes.
cause misunderstanding or conflict. Now, what makes a conversation smart? Is it about what we say or how we listen?
Everything. Okay, so it's number one, really need to pay attention. Listening is so important. And communication isn't just about what you say, okay? I mean, of course, the right words can change everything. That's actually my tagline on the book. But aside from that, communication is everything. What you wear, your makeup, your hair, how you look, that smile on your face, that's part of communication. The tone, the body language, everything. You're sending a message, to people. And that message has to resonate with you. It has to be positive. It has to have clarity. So I believe in the four core pillars, which I created for my Talk Smarter, Live Better, which is clarity, speaking clearly and to be understood, not just to be heard, but to be understood. Compassion, so you have to have empathy and intention, and that includes respect, like you treat the janitor the same way as you would treat the CEO. And confidence, meaning believing in what you say, believing in yourself, your true authentic self. And connection, because we all communicate to connect, right? We're not just communicating to be heard. We want to build relationships. We were meant to build relationships with people. And every day we are communicating, whether it's speaking or writing, we are communicating with everyone. So it has to be effective. And we're
Mm.
all guilty of all communication breakdowns, right? Yeah.
That's true. I agree with you. Now, the things that you've just shared are actually common or ordinary circumstances, or it could be part of our day-to-day life. But
Yes.
could you give us a specific example of how a single meaningful conversation changed the course of someone's life or leadership journey? Because these are general situations, but any particular encounter you have had
Well,
that
for
you'd like
me,
to
okay,
share? Yes.
I mean, I've had conversations that turned bad. I've had conversations that were good. And I always look at it that this isn't a battle that we want to fight. Like, let's say if somebody is talking to you in a condescending way, how would you handle that, right? So let's say I'll give you a situation. If somebody tried to humiliate me or said something, and the normal reaction would be to retaliate and
Yes.
say, but then thinking as an adult and being professional, I would tell that person who tried to say something mean, I would tell that person I would say, can you repeat that?
Mm.
So that will, cause that person to feel mindful that, oh no, I must have said something wrong, right?
Mhm.
So when I say, can you repeat that? Then it changes, it shifts the mood. So basically, it's really about language swaps,
Mm.
shifting the way you talk to people so that way you can provide impact. and not going around the bush. Like if you want to be clear, don't tell them things like, oh, we need to do this. Be specific. Tell them straight and carry that impact, carry that confidence, because you're there to connect. You're really there to connect. And of course, you have that compassion with you. So
Wonderful.
that can make a change. Yeah.
I like what you inserted. You are there you communicate to connect. At the same time, you are also being compassionate. So that compassion will give a different layer of connection, rather than
Yes.
just, trying to understand uh,
Yes.
the words that are being uttered. So that's beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm also curious, Geraldine. We have talked about emotional intelligence, and in fact, this is very common
Yes.
nowadays.
Yes.
What's the role of emotional intelligence in creating better conversation? Is compassion part of emotional intelligence, or this is something else?
Yes, it is part of emotional intelligence because you don't have to always be the smartest person in the room, right? In fact, the smartest person is a good listener because you're there to pick up other people's perspective and to learn. You're not there to just show them that you know everything, because we all have our own strengths and
Yes.
weaknesses. And so we learn from other people, we learn from their perspective, and it's being mindful and being conscientious. That's part of emotional intelligence, and being able to resonate with them and give them full attention, that you validate what they are telling you. It's not just listening, but you're nodding your head, you're validating exactly what this person is doing. So that builds rapport and engagement between you and the person you're conversing with.
So I like what you said earlier. You build rapport with these people when when you truly engage. How about when you've already known the person not just for a few months but for many years? And what's the role of emotional intelligence here? Not just to connect, but even to pacify conflicts and misunderstanding. How can we
So
be
even
much smarter when their hearts have been hurt?
So even if you've known the person for so long, sometimes you can be complacent, and like there's no boundaries and filter, and sometimes you might hurt that person because you feel that you can tell that person anything. But then you always have to be mindful and respectful that we are all human beings and we have feelings, and we have to be there. Sometimes it's not even talking. It's if somebody's crying to you and letting out her emotions, it's just being there, letting the person know that you are there, you are present, you are here and now. So that's what's important. Just being there, being helpful
Uh,
creates a connection. Yeah.
that's beautiful. I'd like to reiterate what you said earlier. Yes,
Mhm.
there has to be emotional intelligence, even if it's true when you've known the person for some time. We have
Yes.
the tendency to cross that boundary, right? We forget and then we tend to
Correct.
disrespect. But
Yes.
with heightened self-awareness, we become more conscious as well of our weaknesses and even
Mhm.
our trigger points. But can
Yes.
you expound further? Because I'm
Mhm.
a bit conscious and curious when it comes to emotional intelligence pertaining to one's emotion. Because I believe emotional intelligence comes in two ways. It's external, and we are emotionally intelligent as to the person's your friend or the other person's emotions, and as well as yours. So can you
Yes.
enlighten us further, the power of self-regulation? You regulate your emotions in achieving a smarter communication for us to powerfully connect.
So first of all, I think it's about being intuitive, reading the signs and seeing, let's say your significant other is emotionally down and talking to you, and or may not even tell you what's going on, but you read the signs, you read the clues, and that's when you decide, you know what, is this going to turn into a conflict, or am I going to be the better person and understand what that person is going through and respect him and not make it about you? See, because a lot of this conflict sometimes is all about power play, when
Mhm.
technically you're not enemies. You're supposed to be in the same boat, working together for the greater good. bringing out the best of one another. That's how relationships should be in terms of partnership and even friendship. There shouldn't be like competition or that. It's bringing out the best of each other and not making it about, a bigger about you, because there are a lot of bigger problems than that.
That's beautiful. I like what you
Thank you.
said. It's not about you all the time, you know. We need to get out
Yes,
from being egocentric and being self-centered. Uh,
correct.
and
Yes,
it's not about you and the person, but it's about the problem. And then you solve it together. So you both are team
yes.
players to solve a common problem. That's beautiful and powerful. I like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. So can you give us simple, practical, applicable, powerful ways to practice presence, especially in high pressure or emotionally charged moments, especially when you're under pressure? There are a lot of things going on, but you need to be calm and be present.
Yeah. So I believe in the I message. So let's say I'll give a scenario. Let's say you prepared dinner for your significant other, but that your significant other arrived late and didn't really apologize, and you start blaming and pointing fingers. Instead of pointing fingers and saying, "Oh, you didn't think about me. I cooked dinner and this and that." How about using the I message and saying, "I really feel sad, or I really feel disappointed that you didn't give importance in what I'm doing." You're not really attacking the person directly, but you're showing your feelings. You're expressing how you feel instead of insulting or being condescending to the person. And in
Mm,
that way, your significant other, the person you're talking to, will understand that, oh, okay, I understand where she's coming from. I did something wrong, but she's not attacking me. She's not confronting me directly. She's coming from and you always have to come from a place of love and compassion, because that's how whatever's in your heart, right? I mean, that's what will come out.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I like what you said. You as much as possible, our expression should come from a space of love and compassion, although we cannot perfect it.
Yes.
But you
Yes.
said something very powerful here. You come from you start with an I message. So I feel sad.
I feel
I
sad.
feel this
I
way,
feel
rather than
yeah,
labeling. You know what? You are this. You failed.
you're
You
dead.
rather than the you
And we're
message.
all guilty of that, right? We've all done that.
Exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
are you lack sometimes, you know, tend to label, and that's true. It's
Yes. Yes.
unfortunate that
Yes.
we are guilty of these flaws, but sessions such
Mhm.
as these are very helpful for us to be reminded of the better ways in dealing with our day to day, you know, like communicating in a better way. By the way, before we continue,
Yes.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence. Sorry, I'd like to recognize, you know, our viewers. We have Dr. Evelyn Abalos from Silliman University. She
Hello.
is the dean of the College of Nursing, and then we also have from Tarun Tiwari. We have Tarun Tiwari from India. And I
Mhm.
forgot the name disappeared, but we have another viewer. It's a new viewer. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you are
Thank
enjoying
you.
this episode so far. Please feel free to drop your question or comments below. And if you have insights to share, please, you are welcome. And you are actually, if you are so excited, you can keen, you have something to share to the audience. I can actually put you on video. I can bring you on video. Yeah, so we are open for live engagement that will make our conversation more, I would say, interesting and impactful. All right, so let's continue.
Yeah.
Now, what are
Okay.
the most common? I think we have already mentioned this earlier, but make delve in deeper. What are the most
Yeah.
common communication patterns that get in the way of meaningful communication, or sorry, connection, and how do we unlearn them? By the way, Mom Evelyn, just drop a message. Hi, learned a lot from your conversations. Thank you, Dr.
Oh, wow.
Evelyn. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
can
Oh,
we?
wow.
Did
That's
you get the
awesome.
question,
Thank you.
or do you want me to repeat it, Miss G? What are the most
Uh,
common communication patterns that get
I
in
think
the
you
way?
froze. I can't hear you.
Okay. So I'm gonna repeat my question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't hear you. It's like you froze.
Okay, so hopefully, how about now? Can you still hear me? Am I there? Can you hear
Yeah,
me? Am
there
I
you go.
visible?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what are the most
Yes, I can hear you.
common
Yeah.
communication patterns that get in the way of meaningful connection, and how do we unlearn them?
So most of the time, especially here in the Philippines, sometimes we say yes when we actually mean no, right? There's some things that we say, or when somebody asks you, "Are you okay?" and then you say, "Yes, I'm okay," but I'm actually not okay, right? So things like that, and it can be confusing because you can't read people's minds. But that's all about being present at that moment and being able to understand. I think it's not just it's like a two-way street, right? You're communicating to somebody, and that person, you also have to see that person's comprehension level, because that person may not understand what you're trying to say. So if it's like apples and oranges talking to each other, and if they don't understand or they have different ways of perceiving things, then that's a big problem already to start with. And then if you say things that you say yes, but you actually mean no, that could also be a problem. Like it could be also cultural boundaries. There are barriers, especially if you're talking on the phone. That's even harder because you have to determine the person's tone and voice, right?
Mm,
So how do we overcome that? Again, by being attentive, being present, listening, and fully engaged and understanding.
okay.
Can you hear
This,
me?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that actually piqued my curiosity
Yeah,
further because,
Vanessa?
yes, can you
Can
hear
you hear
me?
me? It seems like the
Yeah,
connection's a bit slow.
I'm still here. Yes, can you hear me? Hello? Geraldine, can you still hear me? Hello? Are you still there? I think, all right. So while waiting for Miss Geraldine to get back on the platform, so far we are open to questions and from our audience, if you have something to share,
Can
something
you
to,
hear me?
yes, now I can hear you. Please join us. We are still live. Yes. So thank
I
you once
can't see
again to
you.
our viewers. Yes, I
Yeah,
can
I
see you.
cannot see you.
I think yes, we're still here.
Okay, there you go.
All right, there you're back. There. Okay. So earlier
Okay,
you
sorry. I
mentioned,
don't know something.
it's all right. So earlier you mentioned that for us to understand and
Mhm.
communicate, and understand the person and communicate effectively, we need to be present, we need to be attentive, we need to listen more, we need to be compassionate, we need to speak from, if possible, we start from the I message. But I've been to, a few countries where people express in a different way. And if you've noticed, here in the Philippines, we are more euphemistic. We don't we find it offensive when we speak straight to the point, like, hey, it's like this, 1 2 3 4 5. People here will think and
Correct.
perceive you as being too much, or perhaps people will perceive you as arrogant. So we tend to
Mhm.
dilute our message just to accommodate the person's feelings. And do you think being more attentive and understanding is enough? Or what's the role of cultural intelligence in communicating effectively? Because if you will be in the Middle East, particularly, let's say, or Saudi Arabia or in the UAE, and I was in the UAE, I live in Dubai for over 7 years. If you if you are euphemistic, and then you speak slow, you are perceived as weak, and people will complain, be direct to the point. What do you really want? And then once you are accustomed to that, you come back to the
Correct. Yes.
people will perceive you, oh, this person is too much. Like maybe you're arrogant or what, but that's actually a way of communicating. So can you please enlighten us on the role of not just emotional intelligence, but cultural intelligence as well? Yes. Did
So I
you?
think it's being, I mean, if let's, there are really cultural boundaries. There's always going to be conflict when it comes to that. I think the most important thing is to be your authentic self, and if to let them know where you're coming from. Like if let's say you're being too direct or they find you too direct, you can tell them that I'm telling this to you because I want to be transparent. I don't want to withhold anything from you. What you see is what you get. So when
Mhm.
they see what's in your heart and when they see what where you're coming from, it matches what you say, then they will understand you. So it's all, maybe it's about adding an extra layer to the way you communicate. It's basically going the extra mile to explain to them, because it's true. Like I communicate with a lot of people every day from different walks of life, and some may not understand where I'm coming from or what I'm trying to say. And at times it's like you need to just digest the message for them to understand, and it's meeting them halfway, because it's not just the way you communicate with them, but they also have different communication methods. Like I'll
Mm.
give you an example. um, I I had to work on a project with another team member, and I was like giving instructions because I had to delegate it to that team member, and I was giving instructions through email, and it had all bullet points, like, or I enumerated them. Number one, we need to do this, and that person was not reading everything that I wrote, was not picking up everything. So there were so many mistakes, and we kept going back and forth. So I said, wait a minute, maybe this person doesn't want to read it, or maybe his communication style is different. So what I did is I picked up the phone and we went one by one to for each thing that I enumerated, and that solved the problem. So it's also the communication method that matters as well.
And I think you've
Are
gone
you
an extra
there?
mile there. Yes, I'm here. I'm still here. Can you hear me? I think you've gone an extra mile by really trying to understand the
Yes.
other communicator, right? Because sometimes we
Yes.
run out of patience, and so we tend to judge the person immediately. And it happens to us all the time. We're just too busy
Yes.
sometimes to miss some information, especially when it's just text message. So thank you so much, Geraldine,
Sometimes
for
it's called selective reading.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. It's like selective listening.
Sorry?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do agree with you. There is what we call
Listening or
selective reading.
selective
Yes.
reading. Yes.
So having said that, okay, let
Yes.
me. I have a follow through question. Now, these are the communication patterns, and what are your tips, or what tips can you give to
Okay.
our viewers for us to unlearn unhealthy communication patterns?
So basically, it's like number one, don't go around the bush. Back to the core pillars that I created, which is speak with clarity. So clearly, uh, be direct. You don't have to go around the bush if you need something. And if you are confused, always ask. Some people are hesitant to ask because they think they'll be labeled as stupid, right? No, actually, when you ask, it means you're engaged. You want to know more. You want to learn more. So ask questions if it's not clear. And number two, again, back to speaking with compassion, which is empathy, respect, dealing with them in a way that you want to be treated. And then three, confidence. You have to be able to, it's like you're selling yourself. You're talking to people, you are the brand, you're saying something, you're delivering a message. So you have to be confident and true and authentic. And they will relate with you because you also have to show them that you are vulnerable, you have flaws, you're human. We're not perfect. So people will be able to relate to you. And then at the end of the day, it should always be a meaningful connection. It's not, you're not just there. Let's say you're a salesman and you want to sell something. You're not just there to sell your product. You're there to build relationships, to forge connections, because through that you meet other people and then you build stronger connections. And that's what it is. It's all about relationships, which communication takes a big role in all relationships, at home, at work, and everyday life.
Mm. I like what you said. For example, if there's a salesperson talking to you, communicate effectively, be present, because you're not only
Yeah, I
set
can't
be
hear
me.
you.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm trying to react to what you said or
Uh-huh.
add something to what you just said. Can you hear me, Miss G? Am I there? Am I audible to you? Yes. Anyway, while waiting for the, am I audible now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
So you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier that
It's
when a salesperson sells something, that
mm,
person is not only selling a
the
product or
connection is
service.
a bit
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. So you are building a relationship. And having said that, I believe what you're trying to convey now to our viewers is we elevate the dimension of our communication. So from being transactional in your communication, either through selling or getting things done, I believe this is what we call transactional communication. We elevate it to relational conversation. And relational conversation or communication is when we're able to build that connection, the trust, and the rapport. There, it's already forged. And I think the third level there is what we call transformational communication. We speak not only to get things done, we talk not only to build relationship, but we speak, we talk smartly to transform hearts and minds. And I think that's I would say, the highest dimension that we all want, right? That impact to our, not just to our readers, but more so to our listeners. Here we are having this slide, but more so on our readers, especially you have a book. Okay, we have books to share to the world the knowledge, the nuggets of wisdom that we have. So based on this discussion right now, I got that three things. It's beautiful. Three levels of communication: transactional, relational, and transformational. I hope our viewers and listeners are getting that. And it's really nice to talk smartly. And this is what we're getting now. Right, Miss G? You are muted. You are muted.
That's right. And for me, transformational communication, which is the highest form, which I'm trying to promote, is really about making a difference, talking, speaking with impact. Because at the end of the day, people are not gonna remember just everything, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And how you make them feel is through your transformational communication.
Okay, that's beautiful. Now, let's move forward. And I think I actually have three questions for that, but we are able to summarize everything. But can you please give us, if you have practical ways, we will be happy to know how being present, shape the way we lead others, whether, I mean, especially in our family, because family is the day-to-day thing. If you've noticed, we are more careful to speak with our colleagues or our friends outside, but when we are home, we just raise our voice. So
Yeah.
how can we especially our family members may have perceived us in such a way, how can we change that? How can we shift that perspective or the influence we have at home by the power of presence?
So basically, it's being intentional. The first, of course, like what you said, sometimes we don't have filter when we talk to our families, but when they know exactly where we're coming from, like especially with our children, we want the best for them. And we need to show loyalty. We are there. It's not just love, but loyalty, respect. And for children, they need validation. They need affirmation. They need to know that you approve of what they're doing, or whether if they made a mistake, you will still be there. You will still love them unconditionally. So that's part of being present, being there at that moment, loving, caring, respect, understanding, intention, having it, being intentional, being impactful, all that, and transforming how you communicate with them.
That's true. Uh, when we started at home, no, we speak with love, and not only speak with love, but we embody love, we embody respect, we embody honesty, We embody
Yes.
sincerity. I believe when we embody these qualities, then we become present, and people, our children, or even our partners will be able to feel that energy, that embodiment from us. So when we go out, we don't become pretentious of who we are, but we only shine as who we are starting from home. So I like, I hope our viewers right now are really learning from this conversation, because this is very important. Whatever we do, wherever we go, we have to communicate. And even animals have a way of communication.
Yes, I was
That's
gonna
the
say
big
that.
gift that God has given to us. Even plants, even the molecules here in the universe, they have a way of communicating. But us humans, God has given us the capacity to create words and language. And even, those who believe in the Bible and the scripture, God created the heavens and the earth by the power of the word. you know
Correct.
the
That's right.
universe, everything. When God said, let there be light, and there was light, and everything was created by the power of that word. So for our viewers this afternoon, I'm really hoping that whatever we are doing here on Growthinity, and we have resource speakers such as Miss Geraldine, who is an expert. She's not just an expert because she talks about it, but her works, her life works are proof that she is an expert when it comes to communication, because she does right. She is a speaker. She's an invited, sought after international speaker. So we're honored to have her on our platform. Yeah. So thank you so much. Let's proceed to the next question. I'm really excited.
Yes.
In what ways can cultivating presence help us align better with our values and purpose in life?
So you have to speak what you have to act the way you speak. Let's say if you preach to do that, then you have to practice it, right? So, and I'd like to call, I don't really want to say that I'm an expert, but I think I'm a lifelong observer. I'm a storyteller. So all these lessons that I've learned is dealing with people, going through life, and everyday conversations. So to be able to apply this is totally meaningful for me because I want to be part of something bigger than myself. I don't want the ego to get on the way, and I want that to always be intentional when we have conversations or communication with people. And that's what really matters, like humility, being humble, being true to yourself, being your best self, the best version of yourself, staying on your lane. You're not competing with anybody. You're just staying on your lane and being the best version of yourself. And that for me speaks volumes because the loudest words actually how do you say that? The silence actually even speaks volumes, right?
Yes, that's true. Our actions, our
Yes.
manners, our behavior, our character,
Yes.
speak louder than our words and the words that we can utter,
The
because
unspoken words speak the loudest. There you go. It
yes.
was in the
Because,
Philippines.
even
Yes, yes,
Paul, Paul from the Bible, he even said, you are the living epistle. So our life should,
yes.
and I really love what you said, Miss G,
Mhm.
for us to be present, our words, the words that we preach should resonate as well, how we live our life. So walk the
Yeah.
talk. I think
Walk the talk. Yes.
that's the summary there.
That's
Just
right.
walk the talk. Then,
That's right.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
what's one conversation you wish had gone differently, and what would you change now?
So I mean, I think it happens to couples or with your significant other. You can be fighting and you may say things that you don't actually mean, and then you can't take back those words. So now, like I always tell myself, if I'm going to say this, am I coming from a place of love?
Mm.
Because that person is not your enemy. That person is human. That person may have done something wrong or but may not have intentionally hurt you. So why prolong it? So now every time there's an argument, it's better not to escalate it and fix it in the sense that humble yourself, lose your ego, and ask yourself if you're coming from a place of love.
Beautiful. That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
I think it's my takeaway this afternoon.
Oh, thank
Always speak
you.
from a
It's
space of
hard.
love. Yeah.
It's easier said than done because we're all guilty of saying things in the heat of emotion, emotions can get the better part of us when
Mm,
actually when we're human, we should just calm down and take a deep breath and realize that, okay, am I coming from a place of love? Ask yourself that question. Yeah.
yeah. And for this personal question, I have one for you. Someone in your life you feel really listens to you, and what makes them stand out?
I think it's my significant other, Joshua. He really listens. Actually, we communicate even through our thoughts. We have that synergy. Like if I'm thinking of something in 30 seconds, he's gonna answer me. He'll pick it up. So it's like we're so connected that I don't even have to read his mind because it's right there. And the same thing with him. So it's like when you're really in sync, when you're really compatible and you understand each other, then you know what's in your heart, what's in that person's heart. You
That's
don't have to explain it. You don't have to. Yeah,
I
it's
like
it's it's a
that.
connection.
You
It's a
know
powerful
what?
connection.
I like what you said earlier. I like that this is your answer, that one person who listens to you, and maybe it's the same is the one person that you really listen to is your partner, because nowadays, and in fact,
Yes.
this is the problem as well of married couples, they lose that
Okay.
connection and they have difficulty understanding each other, that they would end up
Yes.
fighting. So instead of being together, they would choose to be
Yes.
away from each other.
Correct. And it's like you really have to be in sync to be able to understand each other, because if you're not, and if you're not growing together, then you lose track of the way. And that's so important. You're not supposed to take each other for granted, because every
Mm,
day you have moments, you have decisions that you have to make, and you have to think of not only yourself but your significant other, your family. You have to think of that because whatever decision you make can also affect them.
that's true. That's
Yes.
powerful. Every day we make decisions, we have moments that could affect how we relate with our partner. I would like to
Yeah.
repeat that because that's very important. Every day we make important decisions. We have moments that when we don't communicate effectively with our partner, that could
Mhm.
affect or fracture the relationship. And
Mhm.
later we realize, okay, we're already drifting apart.
And
Wow.
you also have to understand, like, not everybody has the same love language as you. Like, if you're expressing your love through your own language, and your significant other may have a different love language, you may think that your cup is not full, or that person's not filling your cup because of difference in love language. So it's really understanding how this person shows love, because love is demonstrative. Love is part of communication, and you have to demonstrate it through your own love language.
Great. That has been a very powerful episode. So do you have
Thank
any
you.
last advice that you would like our viewers
Mhm.
to bear in mind as a key takeaway before we end today's session?
Well, I
Maybe.
do share tips about how to talk smarter and live better. I share a lot of reels, like 3 times a week on my Facebook page and also Instagram. So that way people can learn. It's just like short reels, like 1 minute or 2 minutes at the most. And it's really for me, it's like this is something bigger than myself. And I want whatever I learn, I want to be able to share that with the world. And I also, at the same time, I'm also learning myself and about everything about communication, transformational communication. And so that way we can all talk smarter and live better together.
Beautiful. What a
Thank you.
powerful reminder today that
Thank
presence
you.
is a gift we give not just to others but to ourselves. Miss Geraldine,
Yes.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you,
your
Donessa.
expertise. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having me here. It's an
Yes.
honor. Thank you.
Thank you. And so when we choose to slow down, listen deeply, and speak with clarity and compassion, we become catalysts for trust, transformation, and impact. Whether you're a leader, a mentor, parent, or friend, how you show up in conversations can shape lives, including your own. Thank you for joining us in episode 8 of the Growthinity livestream interview series. If this session resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and tag someone who needs to hear this message. We'll see you in our next episode. Until then, keep showing up with purpose, leading with heart, and creating change one conversation at a time. Stay present, stay powerful, stay Growthinity. Have a blessed weekend, everyone. Bye.
You.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.